Hello everyone. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are going to be doing a tag video, a very popular tag video that a lot of people do in the corner of BookTube, and that is the end of year book tag. So I was tagged in this, which is so fun and exciting, by the lovely Tiffany over at Towering TBR. So I will link their channel down below. And this tag was originally created by Ariel Bissett, so I'll also link their channel down below, even though now their channel has kind of morphed and they have lots of other things going on as well. And there are 6 questions, at least the version of the tag that I'm doing has 6 questions. So we're going to answer those here. Should be a short and sweet video. And yeah, I'm really excited to answer this. I don't know if I've ever done this tag before. I didn't double check before I started filming, so it might be new to me, who knows. So first question up is any books that you've started this year that you need to finish? And there are definitely 2. And if you've been following my channel, you might know what these are because I've talked about them quite frequently. But the 2 books are, well, firstly, maybe the one that most people know is Wellness by Nathan Hill. This is published by Knopf, and I have been in the middle of this. I'm slightly over halfway for like 6 months. Yeah, I need to finish this. This is also going to be my last Picante Beef Baby that I read, so a book over 500 pages to finish off that goal for the year. So I just need to finish this. I'm planning to dedicate time to finishing it in November because I keep putting it aside for other projects and books that I need to film for like a specific video or I want to get in a certain month, that type of thing. So this one desperately need to finish. I'm really enjoying it too. So I'm excited to be able to plow through the last half all in a shorter period because I've stretched it out so long I'm forgetting some of the details, and this book is like really in the details. So yeah, gonna get to this one. The other one that I desperately need to finish is Wanting. So this is an essay collection that's collected and edited by Margo Con and Kelly McMasters, published by Catapult, and this is in their nonfiction series on writing. One of my 5-star predictions this year, in fact my last 5-star prediction that I need to read, and that's why I need to finish this. I've only read, can you even see my bookmark? I've only read this much, which is the first 3 essays. And again, I really enjoyed the 3 essays that I read, but I have been saying I've been in and out on anthologies and short story collections this year, and that has held me back from being able to pick it up. There just hasn't been enough momentum for me to pick it back up, but I have had to skip doing 5-star predictions in 2024 because I haven't been able to complete my 2023 ones. So I need to get this done so in 2025 I can in fact do them, because I am a completionist, and for some reason I won't let myself move forward until I complete the ones I've already set for myself. So this is the last one. Need to get to it. Again, enjoying it. So I am like theoretically excited to pick it up, but haven't done it yet. So I'm also hoping to get to this in December. I think it would make more sense for nonfiction November, but she's already got plans, so I think this is going to be a December read. So those are the 2 that I desperately want to finish before the end of the year because I do not want to carry them over. I think it would be a disservice to the book to stretch it out that long. So keep your fingers crossed for me because it needs to happen. My God. Number 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition you into the end of the year with? And a couple of things here. I'm going to tell you the books that I'm currently reading, which I feel like are good transition books and like what I'm using this year, but I'll also give you just a recommendation overall of a book I finished that I think is a very good transitional autumnal book. So for me, when I think about transitioning from like summer to fall, there's something about these messy relational dynamics that I associate with fall. I feel like summer is like summer fling, people just getting into relationships, all the joy and newness and excitement of a relationship, and also like the infatuation and lust that can happen. And fall, I feel like, is where shit gets real and you're starting to have to like be indoors with each other more, have to be around each other, have to have a slower pace of life, and that can cause conflict and problems for a lot of people. And I feel like it's this like simmering tension, escalating conflict type of mood that makes me feel like, oh, that's fall to me. Serving interpersonal realness, that's for sure. And a book that I think does this really, really well is Intimacies by Katimura. I don't remember who publishes that book. I'll put it down below. But such an interesting book on relational dynamics. And it has that very like slow despair tension underneath, like the things that are not being said by our main narrator to the person that they're interested in. And yeah, I think it's such a good fall book. Also, the setting of that book feels very fall. It might be set in fall, and it has added benefit of having a really interesting theme centered around translation and what it means to be a translator and like the vessel that translates someone else's words, but that you have to know very intimately, hence intimacies, in order to do it justice, but the emotional impact and baggage that can have for you as well. So fascinating. So highly recommend that as a autumnal transition. The two that I am currently transitioning with are, first one, Mystery Lights by Lena, Valencia. This is a short story collection published by Tin House. And it is a horror kind of terror short story collection, but they're all real life, so it's talking about real life horrors. I'm halfway through, I think, and really enjoying it thus far. This one I wouldn't say feels like every story is set in fall. That's not why I chose it, but I think because it's starting to get into these like dark, deep, menacing undertones of communication between humans, particularly from men to women, definitely gives me that like spooky, scary, autumnal vibe in a very real, terrifying way. So this is definitely one that I'm choosing to transition me into autumn, and maybe you would like this one as well if that sounds good to you. And the other one that I'm currently reading right now is Hazardous Spirits by Anbara Salam, also by Tin House. Little Tin House moment here. And I'm not as far into this. I think I'm just over 50 pages. I'm like 65 pages in. And the premise of this is very like spooky autumnal. It follows a couple, but we only get the POV of the wife. And it is set in the setting, the time period that it's set in is important. So I want to make sure I get the exact year right. Okay, so it starts off saying Sunday, the 25th of November of 1923. But this couple has a big kind of fracture in the beginning of the book. So the husband reveals to the wife that he believes he can see spirits and is essentially a medium who can connect with the dead. And she is rocked by this. She doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to feel about him that he said this, and unclear of his motivations, because for her it's like, okay, maybe he believes himself and he's insane, he is lying and that makes him a fraud, or it's the truth, and what does that mean for her reality? So really interesting tensions coming up between them. And I think the time period, the place, all feel very fall coded. So this has been fun to transition me as well, and maybe you'll be interested in this one too. So those are the three books that I recommend. Two that I'm currently using myself to transition, and then one that I've read previously and think is a great pick if you're wanting something to transition from summer to fall. Next up, we have, are there any new releases that you're still waiting for? Yes, there are a handful, and I did do an anticipated releases for the last 4 months of the year. I think in August, maybe sometime around then. So that contains some that are still coming out. But I did realize that I forgot to mention a handful of books in that video that I was very excited about, because I was just like trying to get the video out quickly and missed a few, but I get to rectify that because I'm going to talk about two of the ones that I'm most excited about that I didn't get to put in that video. And the first one comes out in just a couple of days, and that is This Motherless Land by Nikki May. And this one is publishing by Mariner Books on October 29th. This I'm interested in because It is supposed to be a retelling of Mansfield Park, but it's also exploring themes around identity and culture and race. So that sounds fascinating to me. Fun fact about me is that for my undergrad, I was an English literature major, and you have to specialize in one classical author later in your program, at least the program that I did, and I chose to do Jane Austen. So I had to read everything that Jane Austen wrote. At the time, this was over a decade ago now, but at the time, my two favorite Jane Austen books were Emma, which is a popular opinion. Lots of people love Emma, but my second favorite was Mansfield Park, and that is an unpopular opinion. A lot of people slam on Mansfield Park, and I think that novel is pretty brilliant. So really excited to have a new retelling of it, because again, that one's less popular, so the retellings of it are less common, I feel. So really excited for this. I don't really need to know anything about it other than it's a retelling of Mansfield Park, and I want to read it. So that is this Motherless Land. And secondly, probably one that is like up there in terms of my 2024 releases, and that is Woo Woo by Ella Baxter. This is coming out by Catapult on December 3rd. Ooh, this one sounds right up my alley. I have read from this author before. I read New Animal by Ella Baxter, which was published by $2 Radio, and that book I had mixed feelings about. I think the writing, you could tell the promise and the talent, but I do not feel that that book fully came together for me. That the transition in the timeline, there's like a leap in the timeline partway through that book, thought that transition felt a little sloppy to me, wasn't integrated as well as I personally would have liked. That could just be a stylistic choice though, of course. But the themes were so interesting in that novel, and I thought it was such a unique take on like a Bildungsroman, or like a coming of age story that centered around grief and losing a parent and all the ripple effects that that has in your life for many, many years to come, and how it also makes you reckon with your other parent. Yeah, a lot of promise for that author for me, so I'm excited that they're coming out with something else, and I'm hoping that stylistically it will match more of what I'm looking for as they're maturing as an author. And this one follows a protagonist named Sabine, and she is an artist, I believe. I don't remember what type of art it says she does. And she has a chef husband who is supposed to be very rational, and I think she's meant to be a foil of that. And the line that really gets me on this is that it says she plunges deeper into her neuroses and seeks validation in relationships. Lots of fodder that could come out of that. And I think this is talking about what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a partner, what it means to be both of those at the same time, and how they might intersect. So it sounds fascinating to me. I think based on what she was talking about in New Animal, I can see the through lines, and I'm excited for this. I think it could be a hit. So that is Woo Woo by Ella Baxter. Next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Okay, so a couple here, and honestly, I have so many plans that I want to accomplish before the end of the year in terms of my reading, and this always happens to me, is like I keep trying to fit more and more in, and I'm not going to have time for it all. So there are lots of video plans that I'm wishfully wanting to do that realistically would take up all of my reading for the rest of the year. So I have no business adding another 3 on there, but yet I'm going to do it. So 3 books that aren't a part of like any video plans I have, but I would love to read are the following. First up, we have Some People Need Killing, a memoir of murder in my country by Patricia Evangelista, and this is published by Random House in the US. This was on the Women's Prize for Nonfiction earlier this year, and that's what initially put it on my radar, and it just sounds so good. This is about political corruption in the Philippines, of which I know very little about. So I'd like to be informed first and foremost, but also I've heard that the storytelling in this, like narrative nonfiction type of style, is so wonderfully done, and it's very well researched. So can't wait to get to this. It is a little bit chunky, but I'm hoping to pick this up in November for Nonfiction November. So again, fingers crossed. Next up, we have Counsel Culture. This is by Kim Hee Jin, and it's translated from the Korean by Jamie Chang, published by Restless Books. This is one of my most anticipated releases for 2024. I want to get to this so bad. I'm sad I haven't been able to get to it thus far. This follows a protagonist who gets canceled, hence the title Counsel Culture. She is a therapist and she gets canceled because she makes this like scripted comment on a news show, and everybody starts bullying her online for it. It ruins her career. And then she all of a sudden, amidst her depression, makes friends with a young girl in her neighborhood. And I think the relationship with the young girl helps her to kind of come back to herself and lift some of her depression. So really interested to see how this talks about cancel culture. I think that's a fascinating topic and a conversation that a lot of us need to be having. I also am curious to see how it portrays that friendship between an adult and a young child. I think that could go a number of ways, but yeah, I think if this is done well, I could really love it too. So Counsel Culture is definitely one I want to get to. And then also a library book that I really want to get to is God of the Woods, or The God of the Woods by Lizmore. Again, I'll put the publisher down below because I don't remember off the top of my head, but this book, so many people have been talking about and loving. I have not read Lizmore before, so this would be my first book by her, but it sounds fascinating. It's got a central mystery surrounding it that I don't even remember the exact premise anymore. It's been recommended by some booktubers that I really enjoy and have similar tastes to, and I definitely still want to get to it. So I'm on the holds list at my library for the audiobook of that and hoping to finish that one up as well. But that one's also, I think, over 400 pages, so it's pretty chunky, and that's why I haven't had a chance to get to it yet, other than also waiting for the hold. So The God of the Woods, definitely the third one that I want to get to. Question number 5. Is there a book you think could shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Yes. So I will say this is definitely a 5-star prediction for me, Counsel Culture. So it's got an intersection of a lot of like content that I'm interested about. So that one could definitely be a winner for me. And then I think the other one is Bluebeard's Castle by Anna Biller. This is published by Verso Books, and I'm starting this today, and I'm doing this as a buddy read with one of my friends, Kat. But the reason why I think this could be a huge upset for me is because I have read the first couple of pages several times now in like anticipation of being able to start the buddy read with her, because I've had this book for over a year and I have loved the writing in the first couple of pages. So I think this has the potential, based on the writing so far, to be something that I absolutely adore. So this would be my other pick for a book that could surprise me and become a favorite book of the year. I will say my current favorite book of the year, that would be a huge upset if something knocked it down from its first spot, but maybe those could do it. And then last question, number 6, is have you already started making plans for next year? I have. I would say I haven't made firm plans for next year, but I definitely think ahead. It feels exciting for me to think about my reading goals and ideas and video concepts for next year. I talked recently on my channel that I'm trying to get a little bit more into like vlog style content. And so I have some ideas for that I'm planning on starting in 2025. Particularly, there are like some series that I want to start on my channel that will be more of a vlog style concept and have a theme around them. So I'm excited for that. I've started thinking through some of my reading goals and ones that I want to keep or change from my current year, and probably many other things that I'm not remembering at this moment. But yeah, I'm always thinking ahead. It's fun for me to think ahead and makes things feel like they're staying exciting. So those are the 6 questions for this tag. Please let me know any answers that you would have to these questions down below. And also, if you are a content creator and you would like to do your own version of this tag, consider yourself tagged. So with that, we'll end the video here, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.